Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Talking Pictures podcast. This week, we discuss Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to listen to this entire podcast and give us 5 stars. This podcast will self-destruct in 1 hour and 20 minutes. Good luck. Hello, and welcome to the newest episode of Talking Pictures podcast. I'm your host David, and joining with me as always my co-host Brian. Brian, how are you today?
Yeah, Dave, I'm pretty good.
We're here once again to talk about the week's newest release, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah, we saw this movie separately.
Yeah, we said, well, we didn't say, but we weren't able to see it together, so we saw it in two completely different scenarios. You went to Dublin and to see it in IMAX.
And you just went to see it with your father.
Yeah, just to see it in just a not IMAX branded screen, but still big enough screen. How did you find seeing this movie in IMAX before we delve into the movie? How did you find actually the experience of seeing it in IMAX?
This was my second time seeing a proper IMAX screening, and felt rewarding and justified because of the scale and scope of everything you saw on screen, whether it was close-up shots of people or wide shots of a lot of moving information involving action set pieces or stunts. It was great.
Yeah. We did the same thing we did with some other films where we neither of us watched trailers for this either.
I watched the first one that was released over a year ago from when this movie was released, May 23rd, 2022. So yeah, in the trailer it says next year. So I watched that trailer because I wasn't gonna go through a year without watching a trailer. And it didn't really have much dialogue. It was more so a showcase of all the scenes with the Mission Impossible score over it. And it was great. It was grand. I loved it. And I did not need to see any more trailers. And trailers that were released almost a year later, I didn't watch.
I'm kind of in the same vein because I don't know if you remember, but when Mission Impossible Fallout, the last one, was coming out,
Yes.
I don't think anyone in the world didn't see Tom Cruise breaking his ankle on that jump.
Yeah.
Because it was used in so much promotional material,
Social media,
interviews, everything. It was like, oh, look at this jump. And I just kind of was like, oh, I don't want to see so much, or I just don't want to see these big stunts on like my phone or on a small TV or a monitor or something like that. Like, these moments are made for the big screen, and I want those to be the first time I see them. So
yeah, I respect that. And I do get why you didn't watch the trailer when it was released. It was enough for me to get excitement, because I could be on a 3-hour drive to Cork, 4 hours actually, and instead of listening to music, I will listen to movie trailers, and that would be one of them.
And just imagine it yourself, like.
Oh yeah, I don't even need to watch it.
Yeah,
I eventually listened to the second trailer, but I didn't watch it. You can get away with a lot of imaginary. You can get away with a lot of imaginative desire in what you expect or suspect the movie will be, just by listening to a movie trailer and not watching it.
Yeah. These ones that were good because they had the whole voiceover from Kittredge from the first movie, and he's got a great voice.
Kittredge, he was in the first movie, and he played a similar role in what he played in the first one to what he played here. More older, more still, he's not a villain. He's not a hero. At the end of the day, he is on your side. He's just always at the opposite agreement with you.
Yeah, he's very much an envoy for the IMF.
Yeah,
he is working on it with their best interests.
Yes,
and that might go against what Ethan Hunt is doing right at that moment.
And I feel like, justly so, Ethan Hunt didn't agree with what Kittredge and the rest of the suits in the office were looking to get, which was more power and control and dominance. He's thinking, no one should have this power. So that's why he's gone rogue again.
And he's very much, even though he'll tell Ethan things, he won't tell him the whole truth.
No, definitely not.
I think before we go any further, we should once again just reiterate, like we do in most of these episodes, that we're going to be talking full spoilers.
Spoilers.
So from this point onwards, that's your cut-off point now. We're talking spoilers. So yeah, it's revealed at the beginning that Kittredge put out the hit on Ilsa. He put the $50 million up for her.
Because she was in the lead to get one half of a MacGuffin. The MacGuffin is a key, yeah. A key that has two parts that can be connected to get there, like a slider. And yeah, they're the MacGuffin of the movie. They're the things that the villain wants. They're the things that Ethan needs to retrieve. And it was all put to a halt with Hayley Atwell's character Grace being introduced into it. A real outsider stumbled into the situation, who is set on the path for the rest of her life.
Yeah, she's very much like nearly a surrogate for the audience of, in all of these other movies you have, in various ways, different spies that come in. They're either part of the team or against the team.
Already established hackers or assassins or operative, black ops.
And then Hayley Atwell's character comes along and she's very much like
a thief, a pickpocket.
So she has a skill set.
Yes.
She's
able to throw a punch and wield a knife and get away.
She can hold her own in some aspects, but she very much does not want to be there.
No.
In any sense.
And definitely has a sense of danger. Definitely has a sense of fear.
Yeah, very much so throughout. Like, she is constantly finding herself in these situations, and her first instinct is, I need to get away from here, I need to run, I need to be anywhere else but here.
And this was a good opportunity for the makers of the movie to include in the script the theme of the choice.
Yes, talk about that a little bit, because the movie kind of opens with the guys in the submarine, but the first scene after that with Ethan is when the guy comes with the information on it, and he's got the delivery. Yeah, and he's like, oh no, you're doing it wrong, like, you need to ask me the security questions. It's very much someone who's brand new, and he's like, oh, welcome to the IMF, you made the right choice. And that choice, that it's not like, they're just a part of, say, the CIA, and then they come to the IMF, like, you move over from the FBI to IMF or something like that. It's very much like, no, you're put in a position that you either, it's not very much of a choice, is it? It's either you die, you're going to prison, or you join us.
Yeah, for your particular set of skills. And for such an element or an aspect already established in the franchise of the movie but never explored was the choice. Like, these people aren't there for jobs. They're there because that's what they do. They all choose to be there. That was never explored or delved into before until now. Which is a nice layer to bring into the next installment. Like, what have you got new for me? Even the whole pickpocketing
mechanic.
Like with Grace doing it all throughout the movie, and then Ethan even doing it himself multiple times as well. It's a nice new thing to be introduced. Even the bomb to go off. It's not a bomb this time around. It's something that can be considered more realistic, but subtly explored. Saved for part 2, I think, which is AI.
Yeah, the actual overarching villain of the entity.
Yeah, and it's not that it's a bomb that's going off. We actually don't know what it is.
Yeah,
if it turns out to be a bomb, okay, fine, fair enough. But it's a very sentient digital machine where now technology is the enemy. And it actually sends up a sense of fear and horror when Ethan realizes in the club it's here. Yeah. The entity's made this happen. And you get a sense of what it can look like on a digital screen. And then you can see another little bit of what it can sound like by manipulating his team, like with Simon Pegg. It's not Simon Pegg speaking, it's the entity using his voice to direct Ethan's team into traps. That was like really scary.
It was, yeah. No, genuinely,
because it can be real.
Yeah,
someday.
That's the thing, is that when me and my dad were watching it, the trailer for Gareth Edwards, The Creator, came on.
Same.
And he turned to me and he went, "Oh, that's based on a true story." and like we laughed, like, because he was, you know, AI, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then this movie started. I didn't know that it was gonna be an AI villain.
You didn't
and I was
know.
like, oh wow, okay, that's pretty funny. That like that's kind of now as we move forward, the new villain is kind of machines and AI, and it's always kind of maybe something that we don't understand. I think, like, you know, back in the, say, Top Gun days, where it's like, you know, Russians, and then as we went through kind of the 80s, it was like nearly like sci-fi and space and aliens. But
Yeah.
now, as we're in this era now with the 2020s, it's very much like AI and machines and things that we think we have a grasp on, but we don't fully. That they have so much more power than we even realize.
Yeah.
So to see that, like, it opens up with the Russian submarine, and it's, you know, it's, we think that's
They're the villains.
They're developing a submarine that's undetectable. Nobody can find it, so that they could, you know, sneak in past enemy lines and, you know, set off a nuke. And you're kind of you're led to believe like that's what this is about.
Yeah.
And that's a very traditional kind of Mission Impossible thing we need to stop, isn't it? Like a biochemical weapon, someone getting their hands on something they shouldn't.
Yes. Because in the submarine is the physical embodiment of the entity.
Yeah, that's where
The core, the heart, the brain.
core, yeah. So we find that it's actually an AI program that we find on much later, obviously, in the film, that it was actually developed by, I don't know if it was the CIA, but like the American intelligence.
Yes.
That it's an AI that is programmed to hack into other countries' defense systems and then leave, like set off bombs or whatever, and then
Yeah.
leave. It was like the perfect undercover agent.
Yeah.
But as with a lot of AI, once it's released, it has a mind of its own and it does its own thing.
Feel a lot of similarities with Fast X.
Was Fast X?
Yeah, they introduced like AI to a certain degree.
Did
with,
they? I can't remember that.
with Alan Richardson's character.
I can't remember that, but yeah. Yeah, there were some kind of similarities to this, because they had a chase scene in Rome as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Fast and Furious feels like they think they are what Mission Impossible is, and Mission Impossible just is it. Do you know? They're
Yeah.
on two different levels.
Yeah, I do remember one of our friends saying, you're going to watch a Mission Impossible movie 30 years from now and know that is real. With the stunts.
Yes.
Whereas you look at a Fast and Furious movie, it's going to be like, what a joke, you know? I did think, I thought maybe this movie had the second best pace of a Mission Impossible movie. Fallout remains my favourite. Only by a bit. And I thought that, yeah, the pace, like, I thought, okay, great. The first act was great, and then I thought it took maybe a bit of a slow stop when Elsa, Rebecca Ferguson, was reintroduced into the movie when Ethan thought she died at the start in the desert and told her to go out, get away, pretend you're dead. But when Ethan is rescued in Rome after that whole fiasco is finished, Benji and Luther pick him up and he still has the steering wheel handcuffed to his hand. And he's with his team again. I thought, okay, that whole explanation of discussing what the entity could be and how they have to restrict themselves.
Yeah.
I like how that I just felt like it was a little bit more slow, and then lead up to the nightclub scene where Vanessa Kirby is brought into the movie, and then we have all the meet up of all the women of the movie and all the essentially all the women of the movie and the villain and the hero in this scene.
Well, that scene you're talking about before, where they all come together after the chase scene through Rome, and that felt like a great point of which where you realize, oh, you can't trust anything or anyone.
Yeah.
Throughout kind of all the movies, even with this one, say for example the airport scene, where the guys are trying to find Ethan.
Yeah, Shea Wiggum and
Yeah.
I don't know who the other guy
His
was.
whole task force, they're trying to find him.
Yeah.
And Luther is hacking in to the security feed and he's putting Ethan's face on other people.
Yeah.
And you're kind of seeing that from obviously our perspective, like, oh, the heroes, they're getting away with it. And they're messing with... It kind of nearly feels like, oh, they're kind of messing with the the guys. They're not doing it in like a bad way. It kind of feels like it's more, he worked his way around him.
Joke's on you.
Joke's on you, yeah. But as soon as it's turned, and now this kind of stuff is being used against the team, you're like, oh wow, this is actually really scary, because the fact that the AI is at that moment while Gabriel is walking around the airport also deleting it, so there's no evidence of him being there.
Yeah,
he's like a ghost on the footage. And then when Rebecca Ferguson, when Ilsa's character, she says like, oh no, I was told, I got information from my people in MI6.
Yeah.
I was like, how did you get that? It's like, oh, over email. And you kind of realize, oh, the entity is everywhere and anywhere, and you can't trust anyone. And it becomes like a real like spy thriller. Like I was like on edge like the entire time. And even when they say like, oh, you need to, like, we can't trust anyone unless you speak to them face to face.
Yeah.
But even at that, what's Mission Impossible known for? Having these fake masks and voice manipulators and making you think that you're talking to someone when you're not. So now there's no safety in anything, whether it be over an encrypted network, a phone call, face to face. You really have to just be careful. And then that's obviously perpetuated later on when he thinks he's talking to Benji and he's giving him the information of where to go, and
leading him into a maze essentially to trap him.
And it mimics him. It mimics him so well that it's like left, and he's like, no, sorry, I meant right. Yeah. And that's the voice, and it knows the way Benji speaks, and it knows the way that Benji messes up directions. He's not good. Yeah. And that's, if you watch the other movies, it's similar.
Yeah.
That's a character trait of him. And now this is, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Like, it's scary how it learns so quickly and can mimic, maybe not perfectly, because when you're hearing it, you can just slightly tell.
It's just not right.
It's just not right. Something's off. When Ethan's in that moment, you can't tell.
And even when it tells him, you can't make it Ethan, but you can, Elsa.
Yeah.
And it's just distorted. It's menacing, but as an audience member, we know that. To the characters, it's Benji. And like, when there's nothing they can do but just smash their laptops and just...
They're in, yeah. You need to go analog.
Benji just goes out and tries to find them. And that whole setup from started at the nightclub scene.
Yeah.
Gabriel, pure dickhead. Yeah, for old time's sake, I'll let you pick which one dies. Your friend or your new companion. A choice is being placed on two of the better female actresses on this franchise and in this movie. Either Hayley Atwell dies or Ilsa Frost dies. And Elsa in this movie, like, she's already in a well-established character. Yeah. I would trust her to go up against villains than Ethan. Ethan can go save the day, while Elsa takes care of the villain.
She did that. That was the case in Fallout.
Yeah, and in Rogue Nation as well. A few times she
can hold her own. She's a good agent.
More than capable of holding her own. And in this movie now, is already a well-established character. When Gabriel's in that room in that VIP section, threatening everyone, telling him this is not going to happen. I'm going to get the key tomorrow at this time on the train, and there's nothing you can do about it, and your fate is already sealed. Elsa is just sitting there, giving him a dead stare, and she's just playing the silent, deadly type. And I felt threatened by that, because, and she's not. She's our hero. She's on the team, and I love that role. She's like, don't mess with her. She'll kill you. It's almost like what Pom Klementieff, who played Paris, the silent mime assassin, Harley Quinn type. It's like almost like pit them two together. But Elsa's more serious. Paris is more maniac.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that. Like you're saying there, right, with Elsa not saying anything, that's because she's thinking and she's calculating, like, what's the next move.
Yeah.
Whereas with Pom Clementieff's character, she's silent as well, but you've no idea what she's thinking. You don't know what she's gonna do.
Yeah.
She's just like a little bit like, you obviously don't know her well enough.
There's a bit of a spontaneousness to her.
Yeah, I was kind of saying she's like a toned down version of Harley Quinn. Like, you could see her play that kind of role.
And I like that Ethan says that, Elsa, run away as far as you can, to Grace, stay where you are.
Yeah. Two different, very different instructions for two very different people.
He doesn't want them both to die. And throughout the movie, a few times, multiple times, both annoyingly and humorously, she's trying to get out of this situation, just to get away from everyone, getting away from Ethan. She tries to make bystanders think that he's
This is Grace now, yeah.
Yeah, this is Grace. She just doesn't want to be involved. She pickpockets the key because she was hired to do that for money, and if she wasn't doing that, she'd sell it off to someone. She's a thief. She's a scoundrel. She could be a smuggler for all we know. She's an orphan who needed a hug, and I got to like her, and I don't want anything bad to happen to her. And when the moment calls for her to join Ethan, even in the small moments, like when she has the key on her person, and Vanessa Kirby's character, her brother is saying, "Where's the key? It's the last place you'll ever look." It's stuffed in his pocket right then and there, and like let Ethan know that. So she's joining with Ethan. She's trying not to join with Gabriel when he tries to buy her a drink and tell her what's what. I like those little subtle moments in and out there, but then she'll try to get away because she just doesn't want to be involved.
She's very much for herself,
Yeah.
but she still recognises what everyone's part is to play in this.
Yeah,
And
right and wrong.
Yeah.
A role and a decision that Vanessa Kirby's character, whose mother was in the first movie, by the way.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, Vanessa Kirby's character, her mother was Max in the first movie, and Max was briefly mentioned in this movie as well, in the train, when Kittredge and Alana is Vanessa Kirby. Alana, when her mother was Max, and so there's a bit of like a reunion with Kittredge and Alana there. Point I'm trying to make is that when Ethan is fighting off Paris, spares her life as well, but you felt rage when he smashes the pipe on the brick wall. He's not a full-on murderer. Like, if between him and you, it'll be him if he needs to stop a bomb from going off. Meanwhile, Grace stumbles across Gabriel. She doesn't run away. She tries to take him out with a knife, holding her own, and gets knocked out just in time enough for Elsa to come across the situation, put on a good fight. But at this stage, you know she's gonna die, and she does die.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I
Killing one of the, let's be honest, recently introduced characters in the franchise that has kept it going. The female lead for the past 3 movies.
I was disappointed. I really like Ilsa, and I think she's a great like counterpart to Ethan, because obviously with Julie in the 3rd movie, and you get the resolution in the 6th that they couldn't be together.
Yes.
Because of the life that Ethan lives, that knowing that if he was out saving the world, she would be worried about him, and if he was at home with her, not on a mission, then he would be worried about that.
Yes.
So they couldn't be together. Whereas Ilsa felt like they always had like a connection, and that they were meant to be together, that they could live this life together.
Yes.
And then there's those little sweet moments of when they're on top of the roof, and she comes over and gives him a hug.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like they're happy to see each other, because he was, you know, like earlier on in the film, he told her like, "You're dead now. Go, get out." And he's given her that option like a couple of times, but she keeps coming back in. And it's not for Ethan, but she keeps finding her way back to Ethan. They're like drawn to each other.
Yeah.
So I was sad to see her go. I think she's a great character. And, and I like her. She can hold her own, like you said. The only thing I don't like about her death, and I don't like this in general, is when you have a fake out of a death and the death in the same movie.
Yeah. I understand that. I do get what you're saying. It didn't bother me. Not at all. Because you find out right straight away that she was not dead.
Yeah, it wasn't too long.
Yeah, it wasn't prolonged, and even when she comes back into the movie, it wasn't all that long. If anything, I don't like that this female lead was pretty much replaced by another female lead. But wildly, vastly different characters played by beautifully different actresses. Just, you know, let's just take this female lead and throw this other one in. Kind of something that's been happening in the movies, but this is different. I acknowledge this is different because these are fully fleshed out characters we have seen multiple times. But like with Paula Patton and Maggie Q and like these characters were just and of course Thandie Newton, like in these previous Mission Impossible movies, these female leads are just like introduced in the movie and then they're gone by the next. But if not female leads, the female character of the movie. But I acknowledge it's different with Elsa and Grace. These almost opposites and just different characters. And I it was different, but it just felt like a bit too much of that. Didn't bring any distaste to it or anything like that, because it could just be the same situation as well. Like, for example, they have 2 hackers now with Luther and Benji instead of 1 hacker. Ethan is the only man there to do the things he's doing. He's the man, and now even Elsa was his companion to get their hands dirty. Grace is not that.
Yeah, I always felt like that. Like, I was thinking about that similarly. Like that Luther always felt like the hacker, and he could get into anything. And then Benji was kind of nearly like the, I don't know how you describe him. Like he would do the masks and he would get the gadgets and stuff like that. Like he was the Q, the James Bond Q. But in this one, they're both the hacker. Yeah, and it just felt like they both served the same role.
Yeah, but they did end differently. Luther has to leave because he needs to knuckle down somewhere in a cabin in the woods to try and find where the entity is,
because he can't do anything online. Yes. He needs to go completely off.
So it's good that Benji is with Ethan at the very end. I thought this movie had a lot of homages to the first one.
It did.
A whole lot of Dutch angles.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot, yeah.
And, of course, the return of Kittredge, who I suppose was always there in the universe, but...
this was his first role since the first one.
Yes. And I like how everything sort of came together. Even the villain with Ethan, who has a past with him. I liked him. Sexy man. Bit of a wooden, but... and also a dick.
Very much a puppet.
Yes.
Like, you don't know his motivations. Yeah,
you need a human for Ethan to go up against. You need a man, like, and it's not that he's not likable. I liked Henry Cavill as Lark or August Walker. Like, the mustache alone like adds a little bit more to it. I think the suave of this villain, Gabriel, adds a bit of something to it. But and he's always with the knives, and he's very like direct to it. As soon as it's revealed that the director of intelligence, the guy who's above Kittredge, who by the way was saying, yeah, you can go take care of Kittredge after this conversation. He was gonna Kittredge get killed, who was pretty much also then a puppet to be being used for his services. That you don't want to see anything bad happen to him. You know, I don't want anything bad to happen to Kittredge. You know,
his motivations are very much, they're unclear, and I think they have been, maybe not unclear, but you can definitely tell that he's not on.
Yeah, he's like trying to do the greater good, even though he doesn't agree with that. He's just trying to do what's best for America.
Yeah,
and he's like the second in charge and who takes over when the boss was a villain. Do you know? And
I think he's very much like he's a representative for the IMF.
Yes.
And even though he's on Ethan's side, like you were saying, he's very much on the opposite end of
the agreement.
The same side.
Yes.
There's like, we want the same thing, but we're going about it 2 completely different ways.
Yeah. And I thought, will we get to the stunt of the movie?
I think we take a little break here.
You want to take a little break?
I think if Laura wouldn't mind playing that little jingle for us.
Laura, play that jingle for us.
You know what that means? It's time for some flashbacks.
Okay.
So,
do you want to go first? Will I go first? Who will go first?
I'll go first. Flashback number 1 for Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise and Ving Rhames are the only actors to appear in all 7 films in the series. However, Simon Pegg has been in every film since the 3rd film. I like that Ethan has like
his team.
He has his team. His best friend Luther, his best friend Benji, and they work together no matter what it is.
And it feels like that as his team, they're always there, but they are not in the nightclub room scene. They are not in the train. They are like, they're not the special guest stars, or they're not the recurring, they're like part of the main cast, or it's like their roles are like big when Ethan is there with them or on the mission with them. Whereas in the movies, whereas in the scenes where it's Ethan on his own with the guest star of the episode, Haley Atwell as Grace, or the guest star of the episode is Isai Morales as Gabriel. You know, do you know what I mean? As if it was a TV show.
Like he's always going to go back to...
Yeah, you know those
Luther and
those
Benji.
characters are there.
Yeah.
I got a flashback for you.
Hit me with it.
Isai Morales, who I just mentioned, who played Gabriel. Yeah, he was not originally cast to play that villain.
Okay.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult was cast as the villain in the January of 2020, but in May of 2020 he had to drop out because of scheduling conflicts with The Great, which I'm sure COVID played into the role of the conflicts. So
That's not the first role that he's lost out on,
no,
is it?
so not only did he have to drop out on that, actually no, yeah, he did lost to that role, but he got it, but he had to drop out. He also had to, well, not that he had to, he did not get the role to play Rooster in Top Gun, another Tom Cruise led movie. He also was in the running to play Batman.
Is that Robert Pattinson's Batman?
Yeah, Robert Pattinson's Batman, and he lost out in that as well. So guys just can't catch a break.
Yeah,
you know, beast forever.
Yeah, beast forever. Yeah, no, he's very much like, I do feel bad when you lose out on so many, especially when like Top Gun Maverick's like the biggest film of last year.
Imagine him as the villain in this movie though. He'd be a different character.
Completely.
Be like he'll still play the same role in doing the things he's doing.
But yeah, completely different.
And I looked this up as well. Tom Cruise likes to get an actor who is capable of the physicality of the villain in the fights. And we do see that, and he was good. This guy's like in his 50s by the looks of it.
Sure, Tom Cruise is in his 60s.
Yeah, but that's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
This guy's a working actor who's had a few roles in Ozark and was... he was Deathstroke in Titans, you know. So like this guy, what's he known for? The villains previously were like Philip Seymour Hoffman and Henry Cavill and John Voight. So like, who is this guy? Well, hopefully this guy, this guy gets a bit of a kick in his career with this.
Yeah.
But I did think maybe what would Nicholas Hoult have been like as a villain?
Yeah.
Like, be curious.
Yeah, it would have been, like you said, a completely different villain. Flash fact number 3. The White Widow, played by Vanessa Kirby, has blue eyes, but when Grace, played by Haley Atwell, is impersonating her, her eyes are brown, and no one seems to notice, not even her brother, Zola.
They must have been a bit stressed with anxiety about the trade-off.
I don't know if I would notice if someone's eyes were completely different. That's not something
brown and blue are a standout. I mean, brown and green you could get away with. Maybe brown and green and blue you can get away with, but not brown and blue.
It's just not something that I think maybe look out for, especially in my own life. I'm not really registering people's eye colour.
Gorgeous eyes like Vanessa Kirby.
She does have very striking eyes, in fairness. So
I like that in that whole scene where I like the role she played there as well. Vanessa Kirby as Alana, the White Widow. She's not a villain, but she's like put in a situation where she has to look out for her own. Similar to like her mother. And like when she goes to meet Kittredge, who's revealed to be the buyer, of course, it's his original motive. He says, "You're not who I'm expecting. You're the little girl I met all those years ago." You know, so there's a bit of a connection there. So if I ever to see them characters again, I expect to see them two together or to have a connection. That's like their connection, Kittredge and Alana. Like if you were to see a spin-off of sorts, I would if you're to get one of them, I expect to see the other. And whereas the real Alana, she was sort of like she was tased out, and then when the fake one played by Grace leaves, the real one comes out, says, "Who the hell else would it be?" And she's wobbly, she can't really speak right, she's unconscious. I like that she falls and then Kittredge grabs her like a bit of a carer sense to it,
Yeah.
because he like maybe he got to know his mother a bit, even though she stayed out of jail essentially, you know. So I like that. I got that sense that Kitchard sort of keeps an eye out for her, like just that literal sense of catching her when he falls,
Yeah.
and like sort of caring for her, because she's sitting on the chair and he's still there with her when Shea Wiggum comes back. I know I'm drawing this flashback out a bit, but it's nice to.
It's a good character moment. Yeah,
It is a good character moment. I got another flashback for you.
Go for it.
I mentioned John Voight was the villain in the first one.
Yeah,
Yeah, he played Jim Phelps.
yeah.
You know who Jim Phelps was?
Heavy with it.
Jim Phelps was the protagonist in the Mission Impossible TV show. Imagine watching TV show in our day and age, right? Not actually, you know, all that popular, I guess. Not globalized, because, you know, when you get a TV show, you expect a movie. It's actually the other way around these days. The point I'm trying to make is that you get the second project of the same IP, Mission Impossible movie. Except Jim Phelps, who's the hero, is actually a villain.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, like the fact that I
Yeah.
looked this up as well. There was like 2 seasons of the original show, and then like 8 seasons of the reboot, and then this movie. And Jim Phelps was throughout all of it.
Yeah.
And he was like nearly the main character, the good guy.
Yeah.
And then the first movie comes out.
He's depicted as a good guy. He opens the scene. He opens the movie.
He's
and
the leader of the team. He's the Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
Of that team.
And you think, oh, they kill him off early to let the younger generation, such as Tom Cruise, take over.
Yeah.
But no, he comes back as, you know, supposedly good. But no, he's bad. He's a villain, and he's the guy on the train who Ethan fights.
It's crazy.
A bit of resemblance here in this movie.
If the internet had been out back then, like if the internet was as big as it
Yes,
was now,
that's what I mean by globalized.
yeah, like how did people react to that? How
The original cast didn't like it.
No, I can't imagine. Like if we were watching, you know, Star Wars, you know, back when Disney first acquired it, and The Force Awakens came out, and it's like, oh, here's the bad guy. Oh, and it's Luke. You know, and he was the Kylo Ren, and you're like, oh no, Luke turned to the dark side. You're like, what? It's just so like out of the box. You're
Yeah.
like, the balls on them to do that. It's crazy to like take a character that everyone loves as the main character and just make him evil.
Yeah,
It's
not
balls.
Not good decision to do.
I have another flash fact.
Give us some flashbacks.
So, everyone knows the iconic Mission Impossible theme.
Mm-hmm.
Do 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 do
Dun, 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 dun.
Do you know there's a secret message in that theme?
What do you mean?
So the
What you on about, Will?
so the theme song, do 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 do, right?
Yeah.
The long doo-doos are actually Morse code. It's all Morse code. So the do do, the first 2 notes, M. The second or the third and fourth note, so do do M, do do. So too long, too short. Stands for M-I, Mission Impossible. So the theme song literally spells out M-I for Mission Impossible. Do 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 do.
Was that theme song going all the way back to the TV show?
That's from the TV show. It was originally developed there. That's so smart.
That is crazy.
I wish I was musically minded like that. That I could slip in little things like that. That's great.
I got another flashback for you, David.
Wrap us up on flashbacks.
Yeah. The Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 was originally supposed to be released in July 23rd, 2021. And then it was delayed to November 19th, 2021. And then it was delayed again to May 27th, 2022. And then it was delayed again to September 30th, 2022. And then it was released in July 12th, 2023.
It's a lot of pushbacks.
A lot of
I didn't even
pushbacks.
realise there was that many, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't realise it was originally supposed to be released back in 2021. I thought it was only delayed from 2022 onwards. I remember looking at my letterbox thinking, oh yeah, we're getting a Mission Impossible movie this year. Nope. You know, a lot of movies got delayed from 2022 to this year. A lot of them we've seen. So, onward to next year.
Yeah.
Hope nothing delays our movies coming out next year.
No, and luckily, the next installment is due for this time next year.
If
We're
if it doesn't get delayed.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. But yeah, no, we should hopefully this time next year be talking about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. And that concludes our segment of flashbacks.
Thanks, Laura.
So, yeah, like you were saying there, let's talk about the big stunts of the film, something that Mission Impossible has kind of become known for.
As opposed to the Impossible Mission.
Yeah, which I think I missed. I missed those pre-planned out missions that seem impossible, and they've got like, it's kind of hard to describe. The best way I can describe it is the first movie where, you know, Tom Cruise is dangling above the room, climbing the Burj Khalifa. Him in the fourth one, in the fifth one, when he dunks down into the tank, like these seemingly impossible tasks that can only be done when they're so pre-planned and only Tom Cruise can do them. I miss those, and they haven't been present. There hasn't been one in the fourth one or the fifth one. Sorry, the fourth one. No, sorry, the fifth and the sixth one.
Yeah,
I missed it.
I agree. Well, I do agree with you, but for me, it's the stunts right these days. Like ever since the building climbing and side of the plane take off, and then pretty much a lot of staggered things in the sixth one between the motorbike and the helicopter, and and there's a lot of like smaller, lesser things in the sixth Mission Impossible, whereas this one, the bike. Yeah, I didn't think the reasoning was as strong of a reason to do it, but he had to do it anyway. And the shot setup of doing it, the takeoff, the insert shots of the pedal and the handlebars, and like the wide shot of the taking off. Dude, how did you react to that in the cinema? Because I like quenched up into a ball, and then my arms like folded like across like a Wakanda Forever type. Except I held my breath.
I was glad that I didn't see it in a trailer. I was really like, okay, what's gonna happen? Obviously there was so many featurettes that came out about that.
How to do it and the preparation.
I was like, no, didn't watch anything of it. I just heard like, oh yeah, he jumped off a cliff, and I was like, okay, great. I can't wait to see that on the big screen where it's meant to be seen.
Yeah.
Instead of in a YouTube video, with the behind the scenes stuff, you kind of want to see it
in the movie.
So
it was good marketing though.
It was, yeah. Like that's the thing, is that, you know, they obviously need to sell the movie.
Yeah.
And that's going to sell.
And
however many thousands.
And from the jump to literally crashing into the train itself, that I almost forgot, like, we're so focused in on the scene on the train that you're almost like, oh my god, when
you forgot.
You forgot Ethan is parachuting down into the.
I was a little bit. I didn't really like him crashing into the train too much, because it felt very Deus Ex Machina, of like, he crashes into the train. What are the chances that he crashes exactly into the guy who's about to shoot Haley Atwell's character? I just felt it was a little bit too convenient for me anyway. Now maybe if they explain it like, oh, I can see her tracker, she's in this car or whatever it is or something, but it just felt a little bit too on the nose for me. But I got over it quick enough after that. I was like, alright, okay, I am watching a movie about secret spies, like, it's fine. But it just felt, it was a little bit too far-fetched for me on that one. You know, as I say, it's far-fetched after he jumps off a cliff.
Dave, this movie has a robot in it, right? Come on.
I know, yeah, I know, but still, I have to, you know, I can't help it.
So we're pretty much in the final action sequence of the train car. Gabriel, a dickhead, he's killing civilians. This actually pissed me off. He's killing the train conductors.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
And then as well as that, when he hangs them,
yeah,
and he connects them to the whistle. So every single time after that, when the train like turns and you hear the whistle blowing, all I had in my head was like, that's someone's dead body pulling that. That was like creepy to me. And I think it was a great touch to his character. Like,
he really gets his hands dirty. He doesn't really have much of a crew. He just jumps into the ring, and he just pushes the guy off the train and gets a shovel and hits the other guy. He's a dickhead. I hope he dies savagely in the next one. Yeah, he gets away, but dickhead, and he puts them on a runaway train, and he's letting everyone do all the hard work only for him to pick up the key at the end. That scene where Grace is running away after the whole disguise with as Alana, the White Widow, when her brother shoots in the train car and she's like genuinely scared, puts her hands up, gets a fright. After all the craziness nonsense she's been through the movie, this is still like scary for her, and she still has the key, and she's still hesitant to give it up. But she does it anyway. Like the fear on her face, like I love this. This is really good. And it made me feel for her. And then when Ethan crashes in, ask her, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And she reacts to like thinking, "No, I'm not okay." She's about to break down, but then she holds her own. She's yes, nods.
A couple
yes.
of those moments. As
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Later on, after Ethan tells her, "Stop the train." How? You'll figure it out. Because she's now trying to save the day, whereas Ethan is after Gabriel. You know, maybe in another world it might be right around. If it was Elsa who would go after Gabriel, and Ethan
Because he couldn't. Yeah.
yeah. So Ethan's going after Gabriel. A lot of similarities to the first movie. On top of the train and fighting. Gabriel's like, he's not running away. Yeah, he's gonna face him off, and he pulls his own and fights him.
Because he has a sense that he knows what's going to happen because he's working with the entity, and the entity has done so many calculations that he knows exactly what's going to happen.
That is 110% going to be his downfall.
Yeah, 100%.
And I like that after he loses the knife fight, Gabriel is like, "You can't kill me, Ethan, because I know where it is." Mm-hmm. If that's what he says.
Ethan knows that if, like Luther says to him earlier, like, you know, he lays it out in front of him. He's like, "What's your objective?" And he knows that if he kills Gabriel, then no one knows where it is, and it's going to win. And if
if Gabriel kills him, then the entity prevails.
So the only way that they can win is if Gabriel survives, and that's so against what Ethan wants.
And it sort of clouds him a bit, because after thinking, Ethan's like, "No, buck you," and he goes to like jam the knife in his neck.
He cuts him a little bit. Yeah, he's like, it's only when your man Shea Wingham comes in and stops him.
Yeah, and like I felt the tension there with the music, you know, drowning out everything else. You can barely hear him for a bit when he's saying, "Hunt, hunt." What's that? He's saying, "Hunt, get up, stop it." Just in time for Gabriel to get away, not just in time for Ethan to pickpocket the key off him. What I don't know, a Bond dash or not? What a Bond ending for what a Bond villain ending for him to yell "Ethan" when he loses.
Like everything went to plan for him. He had the timer on the watch to when exactly to fall. Like he
fall back off the train.
He has so much faith in the entity.
Yeah.
But even the entity, it can't quite calculate everything.
Yeah.
It can't calculate these minute human details.
Yeah. He lost.
Yeah. Like you were saying when we first were talking about it. When Gabriel goes to kill Paris.
Yes.
When he says he kills the director of the intelligence agency, and he turns and he says, "You're going to betray me because Ethan spared your life," and then he goes to kill her. He
stabbed her.
Yeah, he was told that by the entity. What the entity doesn't realize is that the act of going to kill her because it thinks that she'll betray it.
Yes.
That act is what actually sets her off on this path of betrayal.
Yeah.
It can't quite. It seems like it's not calculating everything. It's taking what's most likely to happen.
Yeah.
And assuming like, oh, this is a 99% probability that this is going to happen. But it's that 1% where Ethan lives.
Yes.
And where these movies go. It's not calculating itself in the equation. And it's not.
And the incompetence, because he tried to kill her, and he would have achieved this if he did kill her. But he didn't kill her. Yeah. She survived.
If he had just stayed in that car with her for 2 more minutes and just like finished the job, then Ethan would be dead. But there's just a certain element that even it can't calculate.
And after Gabriel escapes, this is the second time a Mission Impossible villain doesn't die.
Yeah, and I kind of like that, because I liked it with Simon Harris's character.
Yeah, and they brought him back.
Yeah.
And he still survived, but he's like being like pawned off to multiple countries to face his crimes.
But not this time. This time Gabriel gets away, and he's still in the same position that he is.
He just lost his objective.
Lost this
and he's going to come back, and he'll get what's coming to him. Whereas now Shea Wingham and his guy, right, the younger, I don't know what company
his
they
sidekick.
Yeah, his sidekick. He's saying, do you think he's like trying to reason with his partner whether Ethan is actually doing the right thing?
I think he'll join.
That's
the
what
IMF
I was
well.
fully expecting, and I like that. I like that the role they played. Ethan tells you you're on a runaway train, you need to get everyone from all the cars to the back of it. And that's exactly what he did. And he comes around. He became very likable, Shea Wiggum, in this, which is great. I loved it.
He has that little moment with Kittredge. He's like, well, technically, seeing as how you're not actually here, it's none of your business.
Yeah.
You know, he says that to Kittredge as he's like, what's going on? You know,
Yeah.
he's like, none of your business. Get to the back of the train.
Yeah. And so it's all up to Ethan and Grace to detach the carts. And
then we have the Uncharted 2 sequence.
I so got Uncharted 2 vibes from this. The bridge blows up. The train, the driving first part of the train cart off the bridge down doesn't explode, just crashes.
Yeah.
Good, that's real, because it was real. They crashed it.
Yeah, I know, that's incredible.
And then one by one, the train's going, so it's dangling off cart by cart. So as it slows down, a cart peels down off the bridge and hangs down, like vertically downwards. The first cart they're running on top of it, and then they go through the second cart in the kitchen, which was
the
like
oil
the oil really got me, because
thought they were gonna get burned or
that
something,
spills on you, you're burnt.
Yeah.
That's it. And then the whole kitchen's just going up in flames. They get out of that anyway. Ethan barely gets out, and then they go through the next one, a fine dining one, I believe it was.
The piano at the top, yeah.
The piano. So in this one now, like, the cart is hanging vertically, so they can't really climb up. They have to hop across. And Grace is so scared for her life. She's not really thinking straight like she was earlier when Ethan asked her, "You alright, Grace, do you trust me?" No, she's not. No. She's like, yeah, of course she doesn't trust him, but like, and then she's holding on to him. Grace, let go. Okay, holds on to him. She's not thinking right. She's not well versed in this world.
Yeah.
And then Grace, you have to jump, and he saves her. And then he's actually letting go because he's slipping. I actually genuinely thought I didn't know what was gonna happen. I forgot. I didn't know what was happening at all. And then Paris, Palm Clementine, comes in to save him.
Yeah.
Betrayed.
I wasn't expecting her at all.
Yeah. And which is good. Betraying Gabriel because he betrayed her, not because Ethan spared her. And
that's a factor, but it's not because.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you think she dies then there, but she's checked later, she's a pulse, so I'm hoping that she comes back. And Ethan gets away from Kittredge and Shea Wiggum, and Ethan meets up with Benji, and
he goes off in like the parachute thing.
Yeah.
And that was good.
I like the flip he does to get out of that.
It's good that he's back with Benji, and like they're set on the path now. They have the key.
Yeah.
And they just need to find the entity.
Yeah.
And it's better than
it's in a submarine.
Yeah, if he was captured and like say if it ended and he had to be broken out of.
I'm glad he got away.
I'm glad we can start the next one just on a run.
Because Grace is with Kittredge now, and like she says, Ethan told me that I can trust you to give me the choice.
Yeah.
And she accepts. And Kittredge's like, yeah, sure, let's go.
He's like, interesting, yeah.
And
that even though Ethan is going rogue, he still, when she says like, oh, Ethan said that you would offer me the choice, he still does that.
Yeah.
Instead of like, no, you're going to prison.
Yeah.
You know, he still, even though they're not, working together, he still respects Ethan. It's like, oh, if Ethan trusts her, then we should trust her as well.
I like Kittredge's role in this. I'd like to see him in the next one. I'd like to see everyone in this movie return for the next one.
Yeah.
In some capacity, in some role capacity. I really did enjoy this. I always felt like with each Mission Impossible movie, when you have a set of characters, it's like half or most of those characters will be in the next one. Those who are not are replaced by new characters for different roles, and then the same happens again for the next one. Half of them or some of them are not in the next one. So, for example, Jeremy Renner is in 4 and 5.
And Alec Baldwin is in 5 and 6.
And same with Simon Harris. And
then Rebecca Ferguson is 5, 6, 7.
And Vanessa Kirby is 6 and
7.
7. You see what I mean? Like, it's been on a bit of a roll here.
Yeah.
Which like, and whereas always Ethan's team is always Luther, Benji, and Ethan. And it was Elsa, but yeah. I like this. This movie didn't really do anything for me to not warrant it 5 stars.
Yeah, that's fair.
Genuinely, what did I not like about it? There's nothing I didn't like about it. It could have been better, but any movie can be better.
Yeah.
What it was now, even the little funny moments in the movie with the handcuff to the steering wheel,
Yeah.
or
That was
or,
actually good, yeah.
or trying to figure out how to work this little paddy wagon off the yellow car. Like,
Something about that actually I wanted to address as well. I was thinking this in the theatre. That could have very easily been over-sexualized. Because there's the moment where they sit into the car and they realise, oh, they're handcuffed the wrong way and Ethan they want Ethan to drive.
yeah.
In any other movie, I can so very easily see her sitting on Ethan's lap and there being like a sexual moment or something like that. But no, not in this at all. It's just she starts to drive, she can't get it, she goes, get out, and they switch seats and he just sits with his arm crossed over and drives it with one arm. And it very
the
easily...
insert shot of the gear shift and the pedal moving,
Yeah.
and the handle steering. And it's not that he tells her to get out; she tells him to get out because you're driving. And then when she has to drive, like she's like, no, it's too fast for her. She's trying to get it. Turn, or go straight. Take the right. No, she keeps going in a circle. Like those little funny moments, and Ethan trying to just figure this out a little bit. And then leading up to the cliff jump, he's like, Benji, like there's no preparation. The bottom of it is too out. Like the trajectory is like spent a load of nonsense. That is just in Benji's like, I'm under a lot of he's under a lot of stress and pressure. And like I so relate to you, Benji. And I just think about, okay, he gives it a go. And there's another funny moment where Shea Wickham is telling his partner he could be anywhere. You just see the shot of
behind in the airport. Yeah,
you see him running across.
He does a lot of running in this movie as well.
Yeah, he gets a couple of runs in this as well. I think his best run was in the sixth one though. I do acknowledge that one in the third one.
That was what I was going to say. The third one's great.
I do acknowledge that third one was really good, but that one in the sixth one,
when he's chasing after Walker.
Yes, but you see that was. I'm not talking about the overall sequence. I'm talking about the tracking shot that you're stuck on him. It's actually just before he catches up to him in the building. It's just the profile shot of him, running like that. Man, Tom Cruise is the gold standard of a Hollywood actor, and
he's the last great movie star.
Yeah,
I feel like he sells tickets on his name.
Yes,
as opposed to the story.
And he's a genuine dude.
Yeah, if you've seen him in any of the interviews, like he just loves movies.
Yeah,
he's like, I want you to go to the cinema to see anything.
Yeah,
like he's there, like, no, I'm gonna go see Oppenheimer and I'm gonna see Barbie. I'll probably see them the same day. Like he's like, isn't it great that we have these two different movies coming out on the same day? Like it's awesome.
That's a great thing in existence right now. It feels like he's always doing only Mission Impossible movies, or with the whole with Top Gun Maverick, if he got time in for that. He works a lot of them. He's a producer and he's the pusher for it. He gets it done. I would be a little bit surprised if we got him to reprise his role as Les Grossman in a Tropic Thunder movie or a Tropic Thunder spin-off. Like how can you see a Tom Cruise now play that role, given that what he does nowadays is heavily stunted action set pieces,
Yeah. No, it's very... He's very much going down a certain path.
Yes.
So I can't see him playing the Jerry Maguires and the Les Grossman.
Yeah, it's like the next one he'll play is a Minority Report or a Jack Reacher, even though that Jack Reacher IP is continuing to Amazon with Alan Richardson. Probably better so. I never really liked the Jack Reacher movies.
No.
It's like, for example, the last unnatural movie he did was The Mummy.
Yeah.
Not only for the time, because it was in and around the time of the Mission Impossible franchise going strong, it was also that he tried to implement the stunts in there as well. And it's mad.
He did, the zero gravity.
Zero gravity playing. And just think, like, that stunt just doesn't feel... That stunt belongs in a Mission Impossible movie. Not The Mummy.
One last thing, I think, before we kind of wrap it up, I wanted to pick your brain on this. What's it like for you? Did you feel like this? Did you notice the fact that Tom Cruise is going up against, in a way, God himself?
Not in this movie.
No, okay.
It felt like he's going up against something that he doesn't understand, and the face of it was Gabriel. To me, Gabriel was the villain with his thumb on the trigger to take down the world.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Let me give you a few, gumdrops of like where I found this. So Ethan's going up against something called the Entity.
Yes, I like the name as well.
We're told that it's everywhere. It's in everything. Everything digital. It can see everything. It knows everything. Anything all at once. It's everything everywhere. It's all at once. It knows what's going to happen. It can predict what's going to happen. It has no physical body, so it has a representative by the name of Gabriel. Like the angel Gabriel.
Oh.
In the movie, the last movie, in Fallout, when Walker was John Lark, what were the name of the other agents under him? The Apostles. And what was the key? When you put the key together, what did it look like?
Keys to heaven.
No, a crucifix. When it's slotted into each other, it looks like a crucifix.
Yes.
This very much felt to me like it's. I don't know what way what they were trying to say, but it felt like there's a lot of like religious symbology in this of Ethan going up against a figure or something that he can't possibly beat.
Metaphorically God.
Yeah, that's how, when I was watching it, I was like, I was connecting dots. Maybe those dots are completely unconnected, but I connected them.
Huh. I think I'll get that in the next one, because we're about to face off with the Entity a whole lot more. I wonder if there's another person behind this as well as Gabriel.
And one last thing, when he jumps off that, when he on the motorbike, he jumps off.
Yeah,
takes a real leap of faith.
Yeah, I get that one. In releasing the trailer, we saw a video of Tom Cruise hanging on the side of a, let's call it, old-fashioned plane.
Yeah, a propeller plane.
Yeah, an analog plane, so to speak.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
So the Entity can't manipulate the plane.
Yeah. Could the Entity manipulate the cars that they're driving and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Surely it could.
Maybe. So, it's interesting that we got a bit of a tease with that Ethan. I wonder if the stunt of the movie is going to be something to do with the plane.
Mm-hmm.
He's hardly gonna fall off the plane and, I don't know, try to put a parachute on. Oh my god. I just got scared.
Ring Tom up. I've got an idea.
No, it's done. We'll see how it goes.
I actually heard apparently when he was on, I think it might have been either like The Mummy or Edge of Tomorrow or something like that.
That's another movie he could get back to.
Edge of Tomorrow. I think they're doing a sequel.
Well, he just can't get the time to.
I think one of the guys on that said like, would you ever jump out of like the highest point, like the stratosphere, like where Felix Baumgartner, like the highest jump? Would you ever jump from that? And Tom Cruise, he kind of stood there. He contemplated it. He went, that would be really good. But someone's already done it. Like, he's very much like, he's like, oh, that's good. Someone's already done it. He wants to push himself and do stuff that no one's ever done before. And I think that's like peak Tom Cruise stunt performer. In another life, he would have been happy just doing stunts.
He deserves all the money. Mm-hmm. He does. He's putting his life on the line for us to get entertainment. Yeah, that's it.
And like you were saying there about one of our friends saying, 10 years later, 50 years later, we'll show these films to our kids and they'll look fantastic. Like, these stunts are as real as can be. Yes. And they look, you can tell he is jumping. And when it cuts to a shot of him talking to Benji, where like Benji's like, oh, did you jump? And he's like, yeah, I jumped. And the wind is blowing in his face. Like, he's doing these stunts and then they're going, okay, action. And then he has to deliver lines. Yeah. Like, it's crazy. He also, this is another flash fact we didn't put in, that jump, they did that on the first day of filming. Because Tom Cruise said, well, we're going to have to do it anyway, so we might as well do it on day one and see if we should bother with the rest of the movie. So they did the jump off the cliff on the first day of filming.
The first day? Oh, Jesus.
First day of principal photography was him jumping off that cliff. because they were like, well, what's the point doing it midway through? We'll only get half a movie then. At least if I die now, we won't have to bother with the rest of the movie. Like, the guy's crazy, but crazy in a good way.
Oh my god. You know what's a good thing as well? This movie is not combobulated with a load of spin-offs and separate IPs or TV shows or anything like that. It's not oversaturated like Star Wars is being oversaturated, like the MCU is being oversaturated. This movie is just movie.
Yeah.
Could you ever see a spin-off with all these characters, like a spin-off of the White Widow, or a spin-off with Grace, or a spin-off with Jeremy Renner?
I wouldn't want them. I wouldn't watch them, or I wouldn't want them. Either way.
What's the point?
Exactly. I'm happy watching them as just like a movie every 3 or 4 years, and you know what you're going into.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they stopped numbering them.
Yes.
Because obviously they went 1, 2, 3, and then Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation.
Ghost Protocol pretty much did reinfigure it, and the titles as well are cool. Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout.
They're very much you feel like you can just watch this one.
Yeah.
You're not beholden to watching all of the other ones.
Yeah.
And it's interesting the fact that when did Ghost Protocol come out? 2011?
2000 and I was gonna say 12, but it might be 11.
Yeah, that they poised that movie to be Tom Cruise's final movie, and for Jeremy Renner to take over the...
Yeah, but Jeremy Renner... Here's the thing. I felt like Jeremy Renner was brought in there in case they could change it up.
I think that's what they were looking to do.
But whereas Tom Cruise is like, nope. And here we are. Jeremy Renner hasn't been in the last 2, now the last 3 movies. You know, it feels like the same thing they tried to do with the Bourne movies. Matt Damon's not coming back. Let's just get a Jeremy Renner. He's literally in around the time of doing that. Jeremy Renner needs to stop being the replacement guy. He needs his own, and he is his own. And
he's great in Wind River,
and I'm hearing he's great in Mayor of Kingstown.
Haven't seen it yet.
Neither have I. No. But it's from the creator of Yellowstone. So, yeah. What's your favorite? What's your favorite one?
I'd say Rogue Nation. I really like Rogue. I just think that's a great one. It's obviously the introduction of Ilsa. Simon Harris, a great villain. I love the Impossible Mission.
Yeah, Simon Harris.
The stunt at the beginning.
Yes,
it's.
Simon Harris did feel like a Bond villain.
He did.
But I did think the stunt was like, really? The opening shot? I know start off strong, but like it felt like, what do we have to look forward to now after all the stunts? I feel like Fallout is my favourite because of the pace. The pace just keeps going and going and going and going. The pace is just so strong. The bathroom scene. Any scene with Henry Cavill, he was a nice villain to be introduced. A scalpel versus a hammer. He's like, there's no emotion to him. There's no even likability. Even when he's on your side, he'll take out the guy who points a gun at you. But he's still a dickhead.
Sure. The movie opens with them doing the skydive.
Yeah.
And Ethan's telling them like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, or like, we need to do this, we should call it off, and he pulls out Ethan's oxygen tank and jumps out anyway. So it's like, oh, we're on the same side, but like, oh yeah, fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyway. Yeah. So he was a good villain, definitely.
Yeah. And I like the way they treat their villains. It's always a thing with me and villains. I need the villains to be good. Yeah. Yeah. So that's good. I enjoyed it. I've got a recommendation for the week.
Hit me with it.
Been watching a lot of TV. I actually struggled to pick one. I know I've been saying a lot of TV, but TV is peak right now. I just finished season 1 of Yellow Jackets.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a show about I think it's set in 19. I don't know what time year it takes place. It could be the 70s, but it could be the 90s. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is that a plane crashes somewhere in the wilderness, and the survivors are a girls' soccer team with a staggered few other people. And while you know this, right, taking place, I don't know, in the 70s or the 90s, I really don't know why I'm struggling to pick up, because there is another storyline taking place in 2021 with the survivors. Okay. So of course, there's only a couple of the older versions of the survivors, and then you're seeing each one of their storylines. So there's like 4 or 5 or some, mostly 3, but there's a few of them, right? And as you get to learn, all right, so in the as you're watching the show, the survivors from the plane crash who are stuck in the wilderness for almost 2 years, who survives, and you're pointing out who's not in the future, but they never explicitly say how many survive. So just because you're not seeing them doesn't mean they can't introduce them.
Yeah.
And then we're seeing in the future a few things being triggered where their past is being brought up, and how their own storylines in the future in 2021 is like sort of bringing them back together to revisit the horrors that they were forced to commit. That doesn't really get into it all that much terribly until the end of the first season, and it's like when you're watching the past in the forest, in the wilderness, it's like almost a completely separate storyline. That now it's like almost Game of Thrones. Like, here's what these set of characters are doing here versus what these set of characters are doing over here. Even though they're all the same characters. Yeah, you know, you can get away with it that these are completely separate characters. It just makes sense for the overall story they're telling. It's very creatively done. The soundtrack, I can't describe it. It's very well done. I don't even know how the showrunners describe it. They're looking to do 5 seasons of it. They can do a bonus episode. They said 2 seasons of it is already out, and I watched the final episode last night. The final scene. They like to have a couple of reveals and a couple of twists. Do you know what my reaction was to the ending of it?
Okay, don't spoil it, but
my reaction.
Yeah. What the fuck is that? Okay, I'll definitely add that to my list.
It just got me.
Yeah.
And
I'll definitely be adding that to my list. Yellow Jackets. Excellent.
Yeah.
I have a recommendation as well. It's not something I watched during the week, but The Bear. Is coming out. Season 2 is coming to Disney this week, I think. So season 1 is all there.
I'm hearing Jamie Lee Curtis and John Berthold's in it.
John Berthold, he's in a little bit of it, yeah.
Okay.
And Jamie Lee Curtis. I think I heard maybe Bob Odenkirk is guest star in it as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's about a guy called Carmy, and he comes to run his brother's restaurant in New York. No, in Chicago, sorry.
Okay.
And it's like a high stress. He comes from like a Michelin star restaurant, but this is a very much like a family owned business, and like there's high pressure situations. It's really well shot. There's one episode entirely in season 1 that's it's a full one take. It's not like a fake, like, if the camera
I know.
back.
There's no hidden snippets of edits.
No, it's a full 24-minute episode, all one take, and it's the most like edge of your seat, like white knuckle, like, oh my god, when is it going to end?
Yeah.
Kind of episode. And season 2 is coming out now this week, so I would recommend that. Like if you like cooking, if you like intense, stressful stuff.
I know. I saw it advertised. I just feel like it's a show that everyone's talking about and it's getting all the awards. Yeah, great, fair enough, but I just don't want to deal with stress right now.
Okay, that's fair.
And I didn't feel like it was advertised all that much. But no, fair enough. I could say the same with Yellow Jackets. But I suppose the intrigue.
Sounds kind of like a Lost almost.
Yes, but yeah, look, it's an interest. I think down the line, I might give it a go. I finished The Sandman and Wednesday and Tulsa King and All of Us Are Dead. I've done a lot of finishing recently because once you start something, you can't stop. That's my recommendation. Anyway, that's your recommendation.
Yeah. So I think that's the end of the episode. Fantastic.
Yeah,
thanks.
I enjoyed this little chat of Mission Impossible. Yeah. It might be my favourite movie of the year. Second favourite, maybe.
That's fair. I can understand that. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We always appreciate if you made it this far. Fair play to you. Mission completed.
Oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I logged this in my letterbox.
Oh yeah, if you're
the hell?
I didn't do a review. If you log this on Letterboxd, if you're on Letterboxd and you do a review for any Mission Impossible. It's not just this one. It's any Mission Impossible. There's an Easter egg there. It's fantastic. That I won't say any more, but just do that. But yeah,
I thought my phone was breaking.
Yeah, no, it's very much whoa, what's going on? But it's very good. I saw it. I didn't review, but I saw it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you could give us 5 stars, we'd really appreciate it. If you want to follow us on all our socials, all the links are down below. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everything.
Talking Pictures Podcast 1@gmail.com is our email if you have any queries you'd like to send us.
We're stacking them up. We're planning to do a couple episodes now in the future of answering questions and stuff, so make sure to send them in plenty of time. Next week, Brian, huge week finally upon us. Barbenheimer. Barbie, Oppenheimer, what are we going to do next week? You'll have to listen to find out, okay? We're not going to tell you. It's either Barbie or Oppenheimer, so you're going to have to see both on the same day next weekend to listen. This weekend, this upcoming weekend, and next week we'll have a review for you.
Yeah, we're not... Yeah. Let me ask you this before we close. Seeing it on the same day, which do you see first?
If you've seen it on the same day, I'd recommend a nice 12 o'clock screening of Oppenheimer. You go, you sit with that, you go have your, maybe 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You see that, you spend your 3 hours, you have a nice solemn dinner. Then you go see Barbie with the girls and you go for drinks, and you either be a Barbie girl or you be your supportive Ken for your Barbie, and you have a great night. I would say that Oppenheimer followed by Barbie. You?
I disagree.
Oh! You're going opposite, okay.
I want to see Barbie. It's not that I want to get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to get that kick out of it. I want to get a bit of joy out of it. And I'm hearing it's great. I'm hearing it's a load of fun. And I do want to get that. And I not at 12 o'clock, maybe at 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock. And then get that nice and settled. Because for me, Oppenheimer, cinema. Mm-hmm. It's like the opera. It's like I gotta go in and watch Oppenheimer for an evening, 3 hours, and then go home and contemplate about my life.
Sit with it for 3 hours.
Yeah. So I don't want to... After seeing Oppenheimer, I'm not gonna be saddened with reality to warrant me seeing Barbie. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be overly joy from Barbie. To go straight into Oppenheimer to dull my senses. I would prefer that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's Christopher Nolan.
Mm-hmm. Say no more.
Yeah.
Say no more.
Say no more. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Brian.